Hi everyone. Today I thought I'd just hop on and just share a few of my thoughts on commentary on how the system is behaving right now. I think you could actually put your finger to the pulse and realize as you see the over excessive focus on commercializing things on a materialistic manner, but I think I speak for everyone here that in terms of how things have been going, that there's a focus to try and rebuild the system in a commercial form. Their systems are being rebuilt because they are experiencing the loss of interest from people that are whole. So when a system is in its deficit space, when there is frequency that is not feeding it, you could look at it as not feeding an egregore or a thought form, you'd see that it would try and either accommodate because it's under some sort of, let's say, under arrest, or arrested development is it's paused. And now for those of you going into winter or must be in winter right now, you are also going into an experience where you're feeling that you have to focus back onto yourself on an emotional and deeper perspective. And for those of us that are going into summer, or are already in summer, that would be the other half of the realm, would experience the same thing but in an external expressive manner. So you're looking at an emotional, energetic experience for this last part of the year. The timeline is requiring to have excessive observation in terms of taking in control the self, to set in place the focus on the mental consciousness with regards to the self, your dominion, yourself. In simple words, you are experiencing your own personal event within your internal experience with regards to how you have a relationship with that which is around you. And so on a metaphysical level, that is basically just a reflection period that is taking place. Within the structure of the systems as they set them up to become funnels to feed their causes, their beliefs, their systems, dynamics, those things that they try to imprint and impress upon people. Almost sounds like empress. But anyway, the drive is to do it through an energetic currency, obviously. Obviously, we're aware of it, that it's the currency as well as the energetic current that runs through you that is being tapped into. So there's a lot of information that's basically coming out in the system where the energy shows there's a reflection on what have you done for your fellow brother or sister, or wat doen jy vir jou medemens? Jy moet skuldig voel. You have to feel guilty if you're not doing anything. There's that as a way of funneling the energy. Then there's also the feeling, the experience of I want to run away because I feel like I'm being dominated by hungry mouths, hungry energy, vampires. There's a lot of vampires out in this latter part of the year, of the cycle, or the solar cycle of this reality. And the reason I'm calling it a solar cycle is because it is logical. The the sun is up in 365 days of the year. You can, for some of you that live in the northern hemisphere, you might encounter the solar cycle met with the lunar cycle, which is more sort of the night period, because of the time that you have the sun available to you. And when I say higher up, I'm talking about some folks that are living in the North Pole or in Antarctica or in the sort of north sort of bound spaces. And so the reason I thought I'd come on and share with you my thoughts here is just basically to tell you what the energy looks like and what it prepares its inhabitants for in the coming time period, in the next solar cycle. As it stands within the first 6 months of the rotation of the realm in its experience, meaning in the next 6 months, I'm just explaining it as I see it. This is why it sounds the way it does. As many of you know, this is just how I communicate. And for those of you who are new here, welcome. And old hands, welcome back. The energetic experience that you may encounter right now is a build-up for the next 6 months. This build-up relates to in what way you step yourself into the next solar cycle of 26. And in its way, how it is presenting itself is it is going to be a position for you to take in consideration. In other words, setting your mind in place where you are deciding how you enter into the next part of the solar cycle. While you are still in the connective experience, many of you have done the course, the pneumatic metaphysics course. Thank you very much for your support in that. You're doing this for yourself. And I value your trust in me being able to relay the information to you. And in the same way, I value the trust in you for being here from where the information and the wisdom comes from. Energetically, on an internal level, the information comes from within. From within and from where within what is within, as you know. And so I say thank you for that. Now, what to expect in the next 6 months starts off with a sudden realization or a need to become self-actualized. There's a focus on that energy. I've made notes on this, mental notes. I'm not looking on any script or anything like that. It's been coming to me for a while to share this with you. So the first month, from what I am aware of, is there's going to be a need to want to prove the self to the self in a way that one can actualize oneself, to become much more focused on where am I going, what am I preparing myself for, is my path set in course, am I doing the right thing? If you're younger, you're looking into a position where you're seeking to establish a ground where you place yourself in, where you are recognized for what you do. Not that you should be young to feel like you need to be recognized, but if you're older, I'm talking about people that are either working or people that are in retirement or people that are going to start up something. So I suppose it can be any age, really. Anyway, I just felt as I was drawn to speak that. So for some of you that are in that position, you are going to essentially want to set new boundaries in place. How to look after your domain, because that's what I started off with, to share with you what is the actual focus. If you are in a position where you set your energy in place, means that you are essentially claiming your living original experience as your own, meaning you've not gotten this from anywhere else. You may have been inspired by others, you may have been inspired by even the Course to reconfigure your life path so that it accommodates you, it actually looks after you, as opposed to you needing to run after it and feel stressed at the end and wondering, what is this all for? Why is nothing happening? Why am I doing this? Who am I? Who am I? I'm always asking, who am I? Type of thing. Not me, I'm just saying, this is what I'm picking up on. I'm actually sharing with you the energy that I'm reading within the system, within the realities, and within the people that are within it. And there is a sense of needing to enforce the self. Some may want to dominate others. Some may use other people as doorways to get to people. The sense of the people that are perhaps the doorkeepers would maybe need to reflect back on why you perhaps have agreed to be a doorway. It comes from those people that have set up things, and this is not against people that are doorkeepers, because doorkeepers or gatekeepers are important. But on a energetic level, it also removes away your ability to function and be abundantly financial, abundantly happy, abundantly loved, abundantly cared for. That is abundance. Abundance means a lot or plenty. And in that way, you are challenged to step up and actually set down your own rules. You're not just something that someone can pass through. That rule for that doorkeeper has to change, because your life path is affected by others. In other words, if you're an empath, you tend to become a doorkeeper for people. You allow people to bring their energy through you, and nothing stays behind for you. You know what the door looks like. Obviously, when it's open, there's nothing in there other than going to another room or going into another direction. So you may need to reconfigure or rethink on that purpose or that idea of being that gatekeeper or doorkeeper on a personal, metaphysical and spiritual level. We all have a sense of purpose, whether it is to look for the purpose or to set the purpose in place as part of the drive to expand the deeper consciousness within the self. In other words, your ability to be true to you requires you to be in control of your dominion within you, your domain in which you live within. The domain as in the domicile, that which is within the temple, the consciousness, the mind, the body, and it all becomes part of one whole system. Now, remember now, in the last video, I said that there's a bit of a catch there. If you are whole, certain systems don't like that whole side. It doesn't like something that is like a pearl. There's always going to be someone that's going to try and take the pearl, maybe cut it down to smaller, or put it into some sort of jewelry setting. I'm using this as an example. and it changes its shape. The pearl loses its life force, its shine. Then again, it is, let me say it very clearly, trash compacted in a shiny shape. I'm just using that as an analogy, but in actual fact, it really is a parasite that becomes an irritation within the oyster, and then so it turns it into, it coagulates the frequency of that thing and turns it into something that is a pearl, a shiny, iridescent little thing. And in the same way, how do you experience reality? You may be perceived. There's always a lot of hunger for pearls of wisdom, for pearls of unique wisdom to don the grace of others. Okay, so in other words, your experience of who you are has to be focused within you, but at the same time, I'm advising that you would observe the way that the egregores or the thought forms interact with you. Do you feel, the first thing is, I feel like I'm invading its territory? Or do you feel, you can drop it down below, we can talk on this. Or do you feel like, I want to be part of this tribe. I really want to work very hard to be part of it. Do you feel like that? Where it says you have to work to become part of my tribe. Do you feel any of that, those sort of things? I'm talking about a scenario where you are essentially setting things in place. You're going into the new company. You're going to work there now. You're going to start all up. You put your little pen down, and you put your pencil down, and you put your laptop down, and you're going to get ready to start your work. And you're getting in there into the groove, and people are looking at you as if you're like some sort of turd, or you're a black sheep or something, or they don't even look at you. You just become invisible. Okay. That behavior is the egregor's behavior towards someone who is new towards it. Okay. Now, this leads to this is something that you would need to go back into the egregorology video just to track back again, because it's quite comical. I'm smiling because I don't feel like crying. I'm just kidding. I'm smiling about it because it's quite humorous in how the energy forms behave towards a person who is completely unique and whole and has an existence, is a real person. It's not an NPC person or a person with no personality or a Krabby Patty or a soy boy or whatever you want to call all those words. Okay. So there's something about that just makes me laugh. Anyway, to come back to that, so you're engaging with this egregore, this company, this energy of the company of energy. The very excellent example to show how hard a person has to work has to be from I think it was a Game of Thrones, where this little girl wanted to be part of the assassins thing, assassins of death or whatever you want to call it. I don't even know. I just saw the spoofs on it. And how hard she had to work to become part of it, until it required from her the need to give herself to it so that it can give another's identity to her. Okay? And now that is exactly what the system is trying to set in place. Okay? That's its little secret that I've just let out for you to tell you that that's really what's going on in the background. Especially now. Okay. So how do you deal with something like that? How do you address this now that you know that if you go into this temple of death or temple of assassins, that's gonna Are you there because you don't have a place to stay? Mentally, I'm saying. Do you lend your thoughts out to things? Do you agree to their terms and conditions? Do you agree to their ideas, that their conformity? Because remember, egregores require energy to get fed from. It is not a personal thing. It's not personal towards you. In fact, it is impersonal, energetic reaction to atoms that are whole, that are unique. So at some point you're going to need to work along with it, because you need the salary for food and shelter, etc., as part of the basic things, etc. So my advice is to how to deal with it is because now you can see that if it has a reaction to you, it really wants to shun you away. I mean, you can just look at the size of our channel, how small it's been for almost 20 years. The same number of people. I mean, what does that say? You must be tough nuts here on this channel for it to still be the same shape. I mean, really, the power of this pearl is powerfully hard, like a diamond. So, compared to others, of course, that promote and steal from my channel and explode like mushrooms all over the place. But anyway, I can literally hear my own information parroted onto other channels. I can literally hear it and see what they write. So anyway, right. How do you deal with that shit? How do you deal with that frequency? You become okay, so you got to be very careful here. I'm going to say this to you, how to test this out, okay? You become a little complacent and a little aloof. Just a little. Almost like to the point where you're like, I don't really care whether you're absorbing me or whether you want to work with me or not. I'm actually doing this with no animosity. Okay. No animosity, no anger, no reaction. Just slight aloof awareness. And you move in there. You know, like how certain doves walk through a place that's like how they walk over the road. Like, they know you're not going to hit them. But they are so totally aloof that they're just like going through. Okay. So that's basically the essence you have to apply to work with with it, so that you want it to accept you as something that is not challenging to it. Because if you challenge it, you threaten its existence. Remember now, I told you, like in the last one, that the energy of the Tarolandia is highly threatened if you bring energy. I mean, it's an egregore, right? Let alone it's an egregore. It's such a tight egregore that no matter what you do, it's just like sitting there like a lump of clay, like a block of granite. Okay, so it sits there and you can't. I mean, I'm using this, and another example is people that are applying for work, like continuously. I mean, I've been there too. I applied myself to pieces to get a job in South Africa. It didn't work. Okay, so until I had to start work for myself. All right, in many ways. So you have to focus on how you adapt, or not adapt. Yeah, adapt actually. Adapt to the way the system behaves towards you by being a little aloof. Don't be so aloof that you're completely unaware of things around you. Be aware, but don't let it consume you, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, it's better to be a little rock hard pearl, or to lose your shape completely and dissolve into the egregore's belly. So in the same way, how do you deal with going, you become less emotionally focused on the frequency within the way the nature behaves towards you. You just be super chilled. Okay? That is basically the reason. That is what helps you to float through. Okay. I said I was going to give you this 6 months of working through this. I can tell you for 26, for the solar cycle of 26. We are individually within ourselves. So essentially, if you look at the first 6 months as the period where you learn to grow truly strongly within yourself, you activate the power to resist reacting to something. You can activate or action yourself to certain things. In the middle of that part of the year, March, I think, from what I sense, it sends to me that there might be there's a belief pattern that there always has to be something that's going to impact the financial currency, and it is the same. It's always going to rise and ebb and flow. It's running on a pattern because people will never essentially get rid of it. It's always going to be there. So rest assured, you're always going to have it, whether it is in one shape or another. It is your relationship to it that is something that you need to focus on, that you need to be mindful of. Okay. Then towards June, I think it starts to pick up again from what I can see, where there is a realization that okay, I started something in the beginning of the year, and I think I need to make sure that I keep to it in June. Now, do not take what I've just said to you about the months and what I'm seeing in it as ahead as gospel, because you are ultimately in control of your own consciousness and how you operate things and how you respond to the egregores around you, because there's a lot of them. It's there all the time. It's everywhere. It's in I think the most interesting thing, if you could look at, is the let's say hotel industry. Okay, I'm going towards that in the thought. Okay, looking at it as an example of what its egregore may appear to be like, it is always intransient. And so when people come into that building to go and spend the time there, their reaction or response to it might be either reactive, and then you are targeted or marked on an emotional level, because then the cupboard door falls off or something weird happens. I'm just giving an example. Or pleasantly surprised, or completely aloof, and most things run exactly the way. I've seen that if you are in a space of like you are perhaps not as aloof as you should be, and you go towards this place, weird things happen, like strange things, like maybe you get a meal that's not exactly how you wanted it to be, or the meal is exactly makes you feel uncomfortable or sick even, or even if you meet people there, they're weird towards you. There's suddenly a crowd that's just come in next door and they talk so loud, your entire time is messed up, if you are in that space, or perhaps, so this is what I'm saying. So the egregore in itself is a transient energy. It requires the same rules. It requires exactly the same rules. Go into the space where the egregore is and be in a neutral space. That would probably be the better way of looking at it. Be in neutral reception of its existence. Always remember that you enter into an egregore's territory wherever you go, whatever you do, if there's a lot of people around. People make up the egregore. Remember, people make up the thought form to enact or act out upon the consciousness of the person that comes in as either an intruder, perceived as an intruder, or as a buddy, come join the tribe type energy. Okay, so however you are in relation to your own personal inner strengths, the focus would have to be with regards to how you apply your awareness to it. Note, you see it. It's like going to catch a fly or something, a fly, using a fly as an example. You see it's there, but it's not going into your consciousness. It's right there. You can look at something without becoming emotionally engaged with it. Apply that. Learn to practice that energy. Practice it. And see how it behaves towards you when you're on the road, perhaps. It is exactly the best way to find out, because even the road with its drivers are also a transient thought form. Because hundreds and thousands of millions and billions of thought forms move, or essences of energies move through the thought form as the traffic. Traffic is a thought form. Okay, so you'll basically see this wherever there's a lot of... So essentially, it's nothing that I've said to you is completely foreign to you. I mean, you're completely aware of what I've just mentioned. I've just placed it in a particular way so that you understand that there's going to be an emphasis on this going into the new solar cycle of 26. A very big emphasis, because there's a drive to try and establish a system to recover, to repair their system, their systems of demand. Okay. And note how to respond towards it. On the other hand, there's also a breaking down of other systems that have been there, that have failed, that have come into complete absolute failure over time. Over, let's say, the last 10 years, there has been 4 major systems that have been erected and have been chalked down as failures. And within this, they're trying to now see if they can actually, engage with people in a particular way. So I can see and sense, while I'm telling you this, that the systems that they're trying to fix up or create is something that relates to what people want. Okay, so yes, it can be good or it can be bad. All right, so your response to that, so if you're now in a position where you like, I'm in a place and I don't like the way the system is behaving towards people that are living off-grid, for example, as an example, I think it costs a lot of money to live off-grid, and then to live off-grid takes a lot of tenacity, okay, and respect to those that do that. The system tends to pull away from the person who goes and lives off-grid. I'm not saying everyone must do that. I think if you work, it's a bit difficult to do that. Unless you're some person that's stashed a lot of money somewhere and you've built your bunker on the ground and you can live with your PlayStations there and whatever. Just an example. It's just kidding. Okay. It's light. So now, how do people who live in that space function with regards to everything else around them? I'm talking about the people that have actually wanted to go towards that pathway. How do you operate? How do you stay functional? Well, the more you go out of the way the system operates around you, the less you are seen by the system. But then this is why it gets harder, because now you're going to have to literally make things. You have to build things out of the ground to help you to survive. Sometimes you'll get people that will set up places like farms and little things like that, and that's how they will survive. So when you move out of the systems, it moves away from you, because you then pull out of that egregore fields. which is how it works. What about the people that are working, that really desire to be out of reach, but still need to use it to survive? Because that is what you would call to work. To be in a place where you are working or you're going to school, you have to be in those places, those things. Okay, very rudimentary examples, all right? Don't take these literally. And I'm explaining how to deal with the egregores, the way that, how you are able to move through it so that you are setting yourself in a position that you can still benefit from it, okay? What I'm saying, so how to do that is, like I said, how to treat it with a little bit of aloofness, with a little bit of, I see you there, but I'm not going to engage too deeply with you, type of thing. It might come across as the fact that you might be appear to be a snob, but in actual fact, I'm saying doing that internally. Don't go and do this literally now. Don't be a snob when you go into a place. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying focus on it internally. You see all of these things. Learn to observe objectively so that you're able to handle the energy in a way that you're just touching lightly on the airwaves of that frequency. And while you're doing that, you're sensing the way that it behaves towards you. That's all. And that is how you should work to maintain that every day within yourself. Go outside and test how to find that emotion. I know some of you might try to understand what emotion you're supposed to feel. And the emotion you're feeling is a bit of love, is love for yourself. And don't focus in overprotection, over self-preservation focus. Don't do that. That makes you a target. In terms of the energy, it then seeks you out. Okay? That does not work. Trust me, it fails. Okay? And other things don't come to you then either. So you want to be just a little bit of a visible something so that you're able to address its frequency in the way that it reacts to you, responds to you. Stroll through it. I think Daniel and the lions might be a good example. No. Yes. It's always hungry. Okay, so note that it is always hungry. Christmas parties, Xmas parties, is hungry, or hungry for energy. Okay. Be in the space of awareness and balance at all times with self-love, and do not become emotionally reactive. Be a little aloof. Play it out. Okay. I'm basically going to leave this with you. I wanted to share my thoughts. I wanted to give you an energy check-in for the latter part of the solar cycle. I still don't know what to title this video, so I wish for you a good part of the time until I see you again. Thank you, and look after yourselves.